Hey guys, this is Luca Reborn. I'm gonna do some Dark Alliance 2 game mechanics for anyone that's new to the game, and for my buddy Fall Freckles, who absolutely loves this game. First off, I'm gonna just talk about anyone that's playing the game for the first time. You'll have easy, normal, and hard to pick from. Doesn't matter which one. Pick whatever you want. After you beat it, it will unlock Extreme Mode. It will also give you a secret character named Drizzt, and then once you beat Extreme Mode once, you'll unlock another secret character named Artemis. So to show you that, here's the character select screen, and then you get the cleric, hit over to the right is Drizzt, hit to the right again, it's Artemis. So they're off screen, but they are there and you can pick them. You cannot start a level 1 character just by the main menu and hitting extreme. You have to import a character. I'll show you how to import a level 1 extreme character in a little bit here. Um, and then for multiplayer, this is a couch co-op game. They didn't have a multiplayer function added into the actual game. I have 2 controllers active right now, so I can do 1 or 2 player. If you want to play multiplayer with someone that's not physically present and you want to do it over the internet, you have to do share play. Uh, on the PS5, you have to start a party first, invite someone to your party chat, and then above the leave party button, there's 5 icons. The middle icon is the share play icon. Hit that, invite them to your share play, and then you can start playing from there. Anything you do will be saved to your system. Make sure the person who is share playing has the fastest upload speed. Whoever has the faster upload speed, they should be the one share playing. Otherwise, the person that's invited to that share play will see graphics at like 480p if the upload speed is terrible. The game will just look horrible. So if you want both your games to look very good, or as if you were playing it by yourself, gotta have a good internet connection. It sucks, but that's the only way to do it without playing couch co-op. Um, when when you're in a game and you want to save a game for a fresh account, basically you're gonna have 5 save slots, but it can keep going beyond that. So don't worry about not having enough save slots for whatever you want to do. As you can see, I have 11 right now. I can create 12. You can just keep creating more and more and more. So there is more than 5 save slots for anyone that hasn't played this game before and they're wondering what's going on. I want more than 5. You can have more than 5. The import export system, you go to change players in the game. You can import a character from any difficulty, but if you import a character from easy, normal, hard to extreme mode, you will lose all equipment, gold, everything. The only thing you will retain is your level and your feat points. So just heads up on that. If you unlock extreme and you're a person that likes to play that mode all the time, I will show you in a minute how you can start level 1 extreme. There's 2 different ways to do it. But otherwise, you can import. You can, if you're playing a character and you just want to start a fresh character right where you're at in the game, you can hit R1 and just bring in a new character. Here's Drizzt and Artemis. There's their portraits. Those are the 2 secret characters. You have to be able to select player 2, you have to have 2 controllers active. You can import or start a new character. Like if someone just sat down next to me right now in the middle of me playing and wanted to play, I could import a character for him, or I could bring up a new character for him. You cannot have 2 of the same character in the game. You can't have 2 barbarians. You can't have 2 clerics. You can't have 2 dwarfs. You have to have 2 different characters. Game does not allow you to use 2 of the same character. If you want to start extreme mode, there's 2 ways to do it. Level 1 extreme mode, there's 2 ways to do it. Both ways take about the same amount of time. The first way is to start a new game, hit hard, select anyone, monk, go into the game, go up to the save, just save a new file, exit out, start a new game, hit extreme. It asks you to import a character, import that level 1 character from the hard mode. Now you're on extreme mode level 1. And just to quickly prove that, go up to the save file. There's Vedra hard. Save over it. Go back in. Now it says Vedra extreme. I'm going to delete that file, by the way. The second way to do it is if you're already on an extreme mode character and you have a second or you don't even need a second controller active. Just change players, import new, and then you could just select someone. So if I wanted to bring in board, or I could just select board, or right. Uh, this actually might actually be quicker once you have a character file saved at the very beginning of the game and you haven't done anything. So now I can just replace my barbarian with Borador, who's now a level 1 character on extreme mode. Those are the two ways you can start level 1 extreme if you like doing it that way. And now I'm going to be talking about gear quality real quick here. We'll go to, let's load in Dorn. Don't really matter. Um, so gear can be anywhere from shoddy to flawless. I got a bunch of flawless gear. I got 2 Imperials. Normal gear is baseline. Shoddy is one step below. You lose 15% of the AC value of that piece of gear if it's armor, and if it's a weapon, you lose 50% of the damage. So baseline throwing axe is 1 to 6 damage. But if you have a shoddy throwing axe, it's 1 to 3 damage. Damage can never go below 1. Uh, there's a multiplier on anything above normal quality. So it goes fine, remarkable, superior, grand, imperial, flawless. Flawless being the best. Um, for weapons, the damage keeps going up by a multiplier of 0.5. So its baseline is 1.0. Then each quality above that is 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. Flawless being 4. Um, for armor, flawless gives you 90% extra AC to the base rating of the AC. So if it's 10, it'll give you an extra 9. So you have 19. And then for this is what I think is really cool. What the game did is you can equip 3 different sets of weapons. So for sword and board, you can have a sword and board, or dual wield, or unarmed. You can have one of those 3 sets. So for this guy right now, I'm just gonna do sword and board. And main hand weapon will always be green. If you do dual wield, the offhand weapon will be gray. You have to hit the L1 button to unequip and equip offhand for dual wield. Shields will always be in the armor section. And then two-handers are a blue background, so you can equip a two-hander. And then you can equip a ranged weapon. You can't equip 2 different ranged weapons. This is throwing, this is ranged. You can only select one or the other. So if you like throw weapons, equip a throw weapon. If you want a ranged weapon like a crossbow or a bow, equip the bow. They have a yellow background. So in the game, you can hit the right button and switch between the 3. This is a really nice feature. So here's my sword and board, my throwing, and my two-hander. That's a really cool feature that they had something similar. In the first one you could only equip a ranged weapon and sword and board or two-hander. That was it. You could only have 2 sets, not 3. And then for feats, real quick, I'll go. So right here, if you hit L1, this is the quick bar for feats. You can have basically 5 quick ways to access 5 different feats. So I'm gonna bring up my cleric real quick because she's got a bunch of feats unlocked. So here's your feat list. She's got a bunch of feats unlocked. You can scroll through it by hitting up and down arrow keys. Oh my gosh. Let me kill these real quick. I keep forgetting that I didn't kill these. So here's when you're going through this list, you have to hold L1 first. If you're going through the list, if the list is active and you hit L1, it disappears the list. So once you hold L1, you can go through this list and assign 4 different feats. So I'm going to assign sprint to X. Now I can use L1 plus X to sprint. For my cleric, these are my 4 main buffs. So I just hold L1, hit all 4 buttons to put my buffs up, and then my 5th my 5th quick access button is circle. You can use circle. That's the main button to use the feat in the feat list. So you can hold down the button, or you can press the button. So you can have a total of 5 buttons or quick access buttons to access 5 feats very quickly, which is a heck of a lot better than the first one when you could only do one. You had a feat list and then the activate button, which was circle. That was it. This is a lot better feature. It makes the game a heck of a lot funner. Oh, I loaded the wrong file. I'm gonna talk about stat points. Every 4th character level you get a stat point to use. So right here, if I kill this enemy and I level up, you get to come to the stat screen. And you have to put a stat point in before you can exit the screen. It doesn't let you exit. So just choose a stat, put a point in. Then it brings you to your feat list. You don't have to use feat points, you can just hit back. I'm level 4. Now, if you don't use that stat point and you go beyond level 4, you level up to level 5, which I'm going to do right here. So right now I'm level 4. You can just keep attacking, and it will tell you when you level up again too. Even though your level up button or level up symbol in the green bar is still full, it will tell you when you level up again. So one more kill should do it. So see how it said I leveled up again? And kill these guys real quick. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I should be level 5. If I hit the level up button, I go straight to my feat list. And then if I exit out and go back in, I now lost my ability to use that stat point. If you have to level up every 4th character level to gain that stat point, and you don't want to lose those stat points. I mean, you get a total of 10 stat points. That's pretty significant if you want to min-max your character. And so always make sure, especially early on in the game, that every time that level up button pops, just hit it right away, level up. It pauses the game so nothing's hitting you unless you're in a 2-player game. Then obviously stuff will keep attacking. But otherwise, just level up immediately. Um, so I'm coming back to this stat point because I want to talk about the actual stats, the descriptions they have when you actually can mouse over them like this. Intelligence, wisdom, charisma is just never put stat points there. It's just I'll explain why I have this later, but intelligence just adds +5 to your max energy. It doesn't even give you energy regen. It's terrible. This is just earned experience, which becomes useless when you hit max level 40. This you don't need, like, ever. So, depending on the character you play, if you're a melee type character or auto attack melee, strength is your main stat. Constitution will be your secondary stat. If you're a ranged type character, dexterity main stat. Throwing weapon or ranged weapon. I'll explain why throwing weapon later. Um, Actually, I'll be explaining my why throwing weapon in my separate character videos that I'm going to make for each character. Constitution will always be the secondary stat. And for D&D rule sets, every 2 points above 10 will give you a bonus. So for strength, you'll gain 1 melee attack rating and 1 flat melee damage per 2 points over 10. So right now, since I have 16, it should say +3 melee and +3 damage in my stat screen when I exit out of this. For dexterity, it's a little misleading. It actually gives you +1 ranged base attack and +1 ranged flat damage and +1 to the armor class per 2 points over 10. Why it doesn't list that here, no clue. Constitution works a bit differently than every other stat. You gain 1 hit point per level per 2 points over 10. What that means is if you're level 40, and you bring this constitution up to from 29 to 30, you'll gain 1 extra hit point per level. So it'll take that 1 times it by your level and then add it. So that 1 hit point becomes 40 hit points because you're level 40. And it's retroactive. So if you have no constitution the whole game and all of a sudden you give your character 60 constitution and you gain like +30 to hit points per level, it will take that 30 times your level, so 40 times 30 or 30 times 40, which is 1200 hit points, and it'll give you 1200 hit points. The faster HP regeneration of this particular stat works even on odd numbers. So if you end up with 29 Constitution or 31 Constitution, every single point of Constitution will increase your HP regeneration. It's not only every 2 points. That's only for the hit point portion. So anytime you're min-maxing a character, if your main stat happens to, if you figure out that your main stat's going to end up on an odd number, don't do that. So like if my strength ended up at 75, or let's say like 85, when I put my free my 10 stat points in plus all my other gear, and it's 85 strength, that tells me I should have taken one strength out of it because 85 doesn't do anything. It's between 84 and 86. So take that 1 point of strength from the 10 stat points you get and put it into Constitution. Even if Constitution ends up on an odd number, because I'll still get that faster HP regeneration portion. That portion is not connected to the 2 points over 10. And then if you go into the stats here, real quick on the stats page, is I'll just go down the list. Obviously, you don't all the way down to armor. Armor in the original game didn't do anything on extreme mode. On easy, normal, hard, it made a difference, and you could make it to where the enemies almost never hit you, or if they did, you took very little damage. Our armored, I have confirmed, armor does reduce damage a little bit, no matter what the difficulty is. On extreme mode, armor is almost negligent, or not negligent. It's almost a non-factor for most characters, unless you're going to be playing a dexterity character, because the enemies have such a high hit rating, they will always hit you. But if you get your armor to about 200 plus, they start to miss you. This is a change from the original. The original, that did not happen. No matter what they hit you, I think they fixed some of the coding, because I've actually confirmed this, where I took a character that 100 armor, walked up to an enemy and let the enemy hit me, and they were hitting me for a lot of damage, and every single time. And then I took a character with like 230 armor, walked up to the same enemy, they were missing me. They weren't hitting me 100% of the time, and I was taking way less damage. So, and the max armor you can have in this game is around 425, I believe, with the cleric. Yeah, 425. I believe the dwarf gets a little bit higher, but you have to have a cleric ally, because the dwarf starts with a higher dexterity score. And then base attack, never worry about base attack. No matter what, you start at 1, and then it adds in your strength if you're holding a melee weapon, or it adds in your dexterity if you're holding a ranged weapon. So since the dexterity here says plus 30, that means plus 30 to each piece of my armor, plus 30 to base attack for a ranged weapon, and then plus 30 to flat damage on ranged weapons. So base attack for the barbarian is off right now, because you always start with 1. Well, it's not off because you start with 1, and then every level gives you 1 extra base attack. So at level 40, you would have 40 base attack plus your stats. So right now, if he's holding ranged weapons is off, or like right here, ranged weapon. So he's level 4, so 30 plus 4 is 34. And then since he has a plus 5 weapon, that also adds an extra 5 hit chance. So that 34 plus 5 is 39. That's why his base attack says 39. For damage, the the damage calculation in this game is very simple once you realize what's going on. It depends on the quality of your weapon. Unarmed combat is a bit different, and I'll go over that when I do the monk character video. So I have an Imperial Morning Star. Imperial is 1 step down from Flawless, so I only get a 3.5 multiplier to my flat damage. So the way you come up with 56 to 70, because it's a melee weapon and he only has +3 to damage from strength, you'll take that 60 damage right there. You take 3 from strength and you times it by 3.5, because Imperial weapons have a 3.5 multiplier, which equals 10.5. The game rounds down strength scores, so 10.5 becomes 10. So 60 on the mace plus 10 equals 70 max damage. And the base attack went down to 12 because he starts with 1, or he's level 4, so he'll have a base attack of 4, plus 5 from the weapon, which is 9, and then plus 3 hit from strength, which is 12. And then the armor shot up to 250 because he's a dexterity-based character, and I equipped a shield. So, and I'll in my barbarian character video, I'll explain why I have him at such a high dexterity score. Damage calculations in this game also for feats. Any feat that has +2 damage, so accuracy +1 to damage. If you have, since I have, it's based on the quality of your weapon. If there's a plus symbol, so that +1 with a flawless ranged weapon becomes 4 times 1 equals 4. This goes up to +5, so you can effectively get with a flawless ranged weapon 20 minimum and 20 maximum damage, 5 times 4. If cleave, it says +1 damage. That like seems really, really crappy. It's +5 at max feat ranks, +10 if you craft an extra +5 feats onto your gear. So cleave can go to rank 10, so that's +10. Still crappy. But if you it's times by the quality of your weapon. So if you have a flawless weapon, that 10 becomes 40. And that's 40 extra damage to your minimum maximum to everything you hit with cleave. Including critical damage. Critical damage, it adds +2 to your critical damage. With death blow, it goes up to +10. But your critical damage is also multiplied by the quality of your weapon. So this can become +40 damage to crits on minimum maximum crits, which is that is a pretty damn good number for a D&D game. And it has to have a plus symbol. The only exception is the Barbarian Rage skill. The damage portion doesn't say +2 to 12, but it is affected by the quality of your weapon. Since you can get Barbarian Rage to rank 10, that damage number becomes 10 to 60 times the quality of your weapon. So if you have a flawless weapon, it's now 40 minimum to 240 maximum damage you get from Barbarian Rage, which is why Barbarians are one of the strongest characters in the game, because they're just that overpowered with this ability. It's just insane. Weapon focus, same thing. Plus to damage. It says +3, which is what's the point? Well, if you have a flawless weapon, that becomes 12. If you have a base weapon, it's just 3. If it's a shoddy weapon, you lose half of that bonus. So just try not to use shoddy weapons and you'll be good. And anything above base quality of a weapon, you'll get a multiplier. Anywhere from a 50% multiplier to a 400% multiplier. And I'll load in my dwarf here real quick. Not that one. To explain some of the stuff that doesn't have a plus symbol, like his smoke parter satchel just says 35 damage. It just does 35 damage. Ransack just does 2 to 12 damage. It's not affected by the quality of your weapon unless the character has stealth. This is where stealth becomes pretty cool. Stealth has a plus symbol, which means the damage of stealth is affected by the quality of your weapon. So the flawless quality of this weapon would make this 8 to 24 damage. When you go into stealth mode, any attack you make in stealth mode is increased by stealth damage. So that 8 to 24 is added on to the 35 flat damage of Smoke Parter Satchel. That's where these kind of abilities with stealth characters can actually be pretty useful. You know, you can actually make Smoke Parter Satchel actually do some damage to a large number of enemies at the same time while using stealth. It does not, the quality of your weapon and stealth do not affect DOT type abilities, weapon enchants or feats. And I'll load in my monk. The monk has one? Oh, I got rid of my max level monk. I can't remember who has. Bear with me, guys. Let's try to get certain. I know he has something. So, like this, 2 poison damage to 1 target, or he's got ghoul touch. 1 poison damage. Anything that does DOT damage, it says damage over so many seconds. Man. I wish I could find one. Like the monk has a poison skill later on when he unlocks his class quest, or you can put 5 bleed damage per second for 5 seconds on your weapon. Those types of skills or enchants or feats do not get increased by the quality of your weapon, so it's not 5 times 4 every second for 5 seconds. DOT in this game is just completely pointless. Just stay away from it. It's terrible. And that, guys, is most of the mechanics. Here's the last thing I'm going to show you is gear mechanics. So you can craft certain feats onto gear. This one is combat reflexes. If it's an active feat, like Barbarian Rage, you can't, like Cleave here, I can't craft Cleave onto my gear, which you can do. You can get +5 to, or you can craft Cleave onto gear. You have to have 1 point in active abilities or active feats to be able to use that crafted gears bonus. So if I had +5 feet here, or if I had +5 cleave, I wouldn't be able to use it as an active feat until I put 1 point into it. But if you have a passive feat like combat reflexes, it will work even though you don't have a point into it. I don't have any points in the combat reflexes, which increases attack speed. So I'm going to equip my ranged weapon. I'm going to take off the gloves. And this is how fast he attacks. This is the lowest attack speed he has with throwing weapons. If I equip the gloves with +5 combat reflexes, and just to show again, I have no points in it, he now attacks as fast. It works with any passive feat, including improved criticals, so you can go from having no crit chance as with melee weapons to having a 15% crit chance with melee weapons at level 1. When you craft gear for them, gear has no level requirement. I will be going over crafting gear, how to set up level 1 extreme characters and all that in my crafting video. But just rule of thumb, if it's a passive feat, it will work even though you don't have points in that feat. If it's an active feat, it will not work until you put 1 point in that feat. Passive feats also work even if you don't have the feat yet. So Alessia, the cleric. I might get attacked here. Yeah. Get rid of these guys. Okay. So in Act 3, all characters except the Barbarian and the 2 secret characters, so 4 out of the 7 characters, so it's not all characters, has a class quest. And when you do the class quest, it unlocks more feats in their feat window. The cleric does not start with improved critical or combat reflexes. So there's no way to increase your crit chance with melee weapons or your attack speed. But since the cleric eventually can unlock it and the game can sense that, I can still use these gloves, which gives me 5 to combat reflexes and 5 to improve critical. So I can still have 15% critical chance and increased attack speed. Even though I do not have combat reflexes, these are all in alphabetical order, or improved critical. There is no improved critical. And to prove that, I will equip my ranged bow here. You don't have to do it that way. I don't know why I even did it that way. I just did this. I will take off my gloves. That has the bonuses. And this is how fast she attacks with the bow. If I equip the gloves, this is how fast she attacks. It is faster. And if I unequip the gloves and I started meleeing, I wouldn't see any yellow numbers. Yellow numbers are crits. But if I equip the gloves, all of a sudden you'll start seeing yellow numbers with melee attacks. That is a really cool feature. It does not work on characters that cannot get the feats. Necro, for example, never gets combat reflexes, never gets improved critical. So therefore, these gloves will not work on the Necro. Only for characters that can get the feat initially or after their class quest in Act 3. And that, guys, is my game mechanics for Dark Alliance 2. I will be doing crafting next. It might be a bit longer because crafting is a bit nuanced, but it is extremely fun once set up to start really strong level 1 characters in extreme mode with it. Alright, thank you, and I'll talk to you later.